Hi, in this video we will learn how we can create a new project within Cinemas, and inside that project how different calculations can be graphically represented as job flows within the Cinemas cascade, which is one of the different components. So let's open the application, which is already open, and let's go to file menu. Let's click on create project. Let's go to any location, let's say documents, and I'm creating this folder as cinemas test. Now the way cinemas projects work is that whatever name you give to cinemas project, it will be stored inside a folder with the same name, right? So if you give the name as cinemas test, it will first create a folder with cinemas test, and then inside that it will create a file called same name.cnm file, which is a cinemas project. Now in order to create a new calculation, you have to click on this plus. Now this plus will be activated only if this project has been created. If your application is open but no project file is loaded, this plus will not be activated. So let's click on this one. It has created one empty job and the default name is job 0. So now let's try to understand what these graphical items means. So each of this graphical item, we call it job flow, represents one individual calculations. Now each job flow also creates one corresponding folder inside this parent folder, right? And we can create different input files through this job flow, which will be stored inside the folder corresponding to this job flow. So let's try to understand what does this icon mean and what are the different functions of each of the icons. We'll address them one by one. Let's first try to understand the job flow. So if you look at this plus button, what does it do? It creates another sub job flow, or you can say a child job. So if this is your parent job and you want to create another job which is dependent on this dependent job. Now dependent job means nothing but a job which uses the output of a parent job as input for this present job. So job 1 is a dependent job on job 0. So essentially it will be taking outputs from this job and will be using them as an input here, right? You can create as many as child you want. You can further create the child job and you can create another parent job. Now there are two types of jobs you can see. There is a child job and there is a conditional job. So we explain child jobs here. Now, what is a conditional job? A conditional job is when you already define the condition and the child job will be executed automatically without any user intervention depending upon the condition that you have defined. Now if you click on this plus, this star icon, you can define your conditions. You can write if DE convergence is less than 0.0005 colon prepare copy relax structure to input structure, prepare DOS and then run. So this is your condition. What does it mean? That if this is a relaxation calculation and if your convergence is this much, then you copy the relax structure to input structure, prepare DOS from a relaxation calculation and then run. And what it does, it executes all these actions automatically without user intervention. You can save this condition, you can open it again. Now we will talk about this function later on, not in this tutorial. So this is a dependent conditional job. Now let's see how each of these icons perform on each job flow. So this is nothing but hide and show. So let's say if you have a long job flows and you just want to see some of not so important job flows, so what it can do, by clicking on this icon you can just hide it and it also shows you the job name as a tooltip, and if you double click, it shows again. Now this feature becomes very important when your cascade is full of job flows. Now this is another icon which does it mark as favorite or mark as important. Now this is important. This particular function is important when you want to see certain jobs up in the order. However, it doesn't change anything. This is just for the visualization purpose. However, this function is currently not working. We will be making this functional in the upcoming upgrade. Now, other third icon is input icon. Now, by clicking on this icon, you can create input files. I'll come back to this icon in a bit of time. Now, by clicking on this icon, you can call the visualizer. So if a job is having input files, by clicking on this icon, you can open the visualizer directly, and you can verify and view your atomic structure. Now this is nothing but if you have output files, you can analyze your output, you can do plotting, you can do several other analysis on your output files. Now this is nothing but a snapshot. If your job is completed, you click on this and it will give you an overall summary of your job with different parameters and informations. Now by using this icon, you can just transfer your files to the remote server, you can submit your calculations there, you can download the data back to the local machine and again resubmit if you want. These are the different functions. Now let's go back how to create input files. Yeah, also one more important thing is when you create a job flow, it's given a random name and you are free to change the name again. So let's say cut 400. Let's say this is cut convergence, and let's just assume that here I am doing k points 4 by 4 by 4. However, here I am doing k points 8 by 8 by 8. Or let's say when everything is done, I'm just trying to do relaxation. Or let's say if this is another relaxation with some different parameters, and this is DOS automatic. Right, now there is another function called color code. So for example, you can give a color code. Let's say this is red. Now let's say this is green. I think this one, correct. And then let's say DOS is something like this. This is again relaxation is, let's say, black. Relaxation and again is not black, this is maroon or something. What you can do is you can create these colors here, and then here you can define, let's say cut. And this one is what? This one is k point. Again, this one is k point. Let's say this one is DOS. And let's say this one is. So what does this feature tell you? That this is nothing but a quick color code. So just by the color code, you can identify that what type of calculation it is. Yeah, pretty good function. Now let's go back to this icon. Right now all of these job flows are empty. They do not have any input files in it. Now let's click on it. Now this is input files creation window. So we will start with the structure. This is a standard structure creation panel. So there are two options. Either you can create a structure file or you can load a structure file. Let's say if you're loading, when you are trying to load, you can load different types of formats. For example, you can load a POSCAR itself, or you can load a POSCAR in .wasp extension file with .wasp extension. You can also load a XSF file. You can load a CIF file, or you can also load a Espresso file, which will be eventually converted to WASP POSCAR. So different options for the loading. Also, you can create a file, create a structure file directly. So let's try to create a perovskite oxide here. The space group name is 221. Let's assume hypothetically that the lattice constant is 3.88. So you can see that according to the space group, ABC and the alpha, beta, gamma are updated. Number of species would be 3 because the formula is AbO3. Let's take an example of strontium titanate, that is SrTiO3. So Sr will be 000, titanium would be 0.5, 0.5 and 0.5, oxygen would be at 0.5, 0.5 and 0. Now these are just the Wyckoff positions. You in principle there are 3 oxygens, but you do not need to provide all the 3. When you click export, it generates all possible symmetrically it generates all the positions and create the whole postcard. Now you can click apply to save it. Also, if you want selective dynamics, you can just do selective dynamics and you can select which direction you want to relax. So each checkbox means relax. That means if you check in this direction, this will be FFT, this will be FTF, this will be TFF, and this will be FFF. And then again you can save it. You can go to K points. Again you can provide all the informations here which are pretty much evident, and you can save K points. If you go to potential files, you can select your type of potential. Automatically, depending upon your structure file, it updates all the elements. Now what kind of potentials you are having? So if you are having O, if you are having OH, if you are having OS, if you are having SRSV, if you are having different types of titanium potentials, everything will be updated. You can choose it and select it and use it. Now if you go to control file, this is very important. Now in the control parameter, which is for VASP, which is in-car file, we have divided total VASP control tags into several categories. So you can select, let's say I want to initialize the calculation, I want to relax the calculation, and then I want to, let's say, accurate it. So once you select the categories, and then you have different options. All the options are divided on the different levels, whether it's advanced option or you want to see only the beginner options or what. You can choose your options and then it will be updated to the in-car file. For example, let me just reduce the categories. So here, let's say I want to do system is test. Let's say yes. In the relaxation, maximum number of relaxation steps would be, let's say, 100. What are the other options? Let's say I want to do ionic relaxations. I would do apply. Now we have 2 types of edit mode here, the graphical mode and also the text mode. So you see whatever options I selected on the GUI have been updated here also. Now let's say I want to create my in-car file in the text mode, so I can do it here also. So let's say I do L-dipole equals to true. You see, the moment I use this tag, automatically the dipole category is selected. So if I go back here, I will see the dipole category also. Automatically my options are also selected. Now I can do apply. If I do apply, the in-car file should be saved. Yes, the 4th icon is also green. Let's go back to K points. What about K points for the band structure calculations? If so, let's select this option. Now I can just click on this icon, and depending upon the symmetry, I can just choose my I can just increase the window size if I want. So this is my Blois zone. In the blue zone, I can just select whatever points I want to select. This is my K path. I can choose what type of coordinates I want. I can just say export. All the points are exported, and then I can choose the name. Let's say again something like test. I can choose the intersections also here. Let's say I did 100 or maybe 100 or 60 or any number you want to click. Let's say 50, and then you can say apply. In both of the cases, apply, save and close. Now let's go to this location. Where did I save it? So this is my thing. All my files are created now. This is the location of that particular folder, of that particular job flow. So let me just increase the thing. Let me open my K points, and you can see that a K point file particular to bend structure calculation has been created. Similarly, an in-car file has been created the way I created it from the GUI. Now, after this icon, if I clicking this icon, you can quickly visualize your cell. Or you can do several other measurements, something like this, or a general kind of functions. Also, we have a lot of style options which are quickly available on your right side. So that's all about visualization, and I have already mentioned you what is the purpose of these different icons, and we will be talking more about these icons in some other videos. However, I would like to tell you more about other features of Cascade, and also what more functions can be performed on the different job flows. Now let's say I want to delete the job. So you can just press Ctrl and scroll up and scroll down will give you zoom in and zoom out, which will help you in navigating across the job flows if Cascade is full of many job flows. You can also, so let's consider a case when you are zoomed in, too much zoomed in, or it's too much populated. You can just do middle click and you can just pan across. There's a panning function also available. This is just in view when you have a lot of job flows on the Cascade panel. Another function which I would like to tell you about would be cut, copy, paste. For example, let's say now I have input files in this encut40, but I want to copy and create more encut files. For example, input files with encut 500, 600, 700, and etc. What you can do is I just copy it and I can just paste it in, I can paste it in empty space, and it will create another file, and then you can just it will create another job, and you can just rename it and create similar job. And where again you can go to this input creation window, you can just go to the control panel and you can just change the value and create another job out of it. Again, you can paste as many as times you want, and you can just copy this job as encut 600. You can just go to the in-car and change the encut values yourself. So it helps you to create quickly similar job with similar nature. So this is all for the tutorial on how to create a cinemas project and how to create different job flows and the interdependency of the job flows and different functions about the job flows. Thanks for watching.